What's up, everybody? We're gonna do the install today. I'm gonna show you step by step on the driver's side. The passenger side is just as easy, except you don't have to do obviously the fuel filler cap vent. Other than that, it's pretty straightforward. There are a few tricks that I'm gonna do. I'm going to add some paint protection film. That was a close-up. I'm gonna add some paint protection film on the inside of the inner fender pinch, so that way the vibration from where this matches up to the inner fender. So the first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna take off all these plastic rivets down here. And they go all the way over here. There's a lot. And then once you're done with that, I don't know if you can see that, there's a little Christmas tree there. There's one hiding there. You've got 3 bolts right there along the back. So we're gonna take those 3 off. Get another Christmas tree hiding up in there. And if I remember right, there was one more. Yeah, I guess that's it. So let's get those off. This is where your pick and your cutters. I am not the best at taking plastic rivets off. I found that these two make it a dream for me, super easy, so why fight what works? Okay, plastic rivets out. Next, body panel tool, get the Christmas trees. And if you don't want to use safety squints today, because you didn't wash your Jeep before you put it all up in the air, time to go over into the tool section. We're gonna grab a 8mm and take off those 3 back bolts. Okay, it's off. She gone. Okay, next up, we need to take the fender off. Now, I've seen a bunch of videos of guys grabbing the fenders and yanking them. Not my style. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna dig into our toolbox, grab this one, alrighty, and then we're going to grab our 90. Here's a clip. This is what the clips look like. See if I can get out of focus here. Pay attention. This is what the clips look like. So when you yank on them, there's a potential to rip these off. It's super easy. But if you go behind and just pinch them with something like one of these, they come right out super easy. Check this out. Takes a little longer, but it works really well. Bring you guys in here what I'm looking at. So they're just right there. So what I'm doing is grabbing it, pinching the back of the clip, and it comes right out. Repeat, 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 repeat. Okay, that was a lot harder than the other side. Anyway, clips are off. We're gonna have to do some modifications to this, but for now we're gonna set it on the tailgate and get to working on the insides. Okay, next we're gonna come in here. Now I have rock block mud flaps with this extension piece, but we're gonna come in here and take these 2 13mm off, and then we're also gonna disengage this and the wiring harness. And keep in mind it's just a Christmas tree, so it's not that hard, but try not to destroy any of these because they're gonna go right back on the Metalcloak bracket. So let's get that off. If you don't have the rock blocks mud flaps with the extension brackets for the quick neck, like I do, then you can just bolt this straight onto the frame. It's pretty simple. The big hole goes for the wiring harness. The 2 little holes go for the other bracket. It's pretty straightforward. It only bolts on one way whenever you're doing it. The two should look exactly like that. Like I said, we're going to reuse our wiring, or not our wiring harnesses, but our two 13mm bolts. We're going to bolt those back in. For right now, I'm just going to hook up the Christmas trees back into here. I'm going to set this down on the bottom and then keep the bolts nearby. So that way I can put this on, because this is going to interfere with the inner fender aligners when I go to put it on. And we want to kind of leave ourselves some room, so make it easy. Okay, next up, gas tank vent. We're going to have to take it off. There's two 10mm bolts. I'm going to drop a picture in and let you guys see where it's at, so that way I don't keep screwing around with the camera. But you're going to see two. One's going straight up and then one's going into the side. We're going to take both those off with a 10mm, and then we're going to have to take the red clip off to disengage it from the actual hose. So I've got a super small flathead screwdriver that broke years ago, and I keep filing it down to make a nice little pick. The gas vent filler, yeah, the gas tank vent cap, this guy. So originally it had on this short hose. We're going to extend it by a lot. This we're going to reuse. This piece is one of the most important pieces. Now, I got this one off just by grabbing it and then prying it back and forth, twisting a few times, slid right off. This piece, same thing. Back and forth a few times and then turn it, pull it off. The instructions from Metalcloak tell you to use a razor blade. Now, if you can't get it off like I did and you're worried about snapping the plastic, which is a good worry, then yeah, be smart, use a razor blade. Problem is this right here. Let's see if I can get her to focus. You see that O-ring right there? We don't want to cut that. You cut that, you're kind of screwed. So, we're going to put this all back together, kind of like those little Chinese fingers when you were a kid. I'm going to put this all back together if we can. And then slide the quick connect on for the fuel. Move on to the next part. Okay, next up, this part's pretty straightforward. You're going to want to grab a 5/32 Allen. You're going to want to grab a 7/16 wrench. Those are our tools. We're going to reuse one of those 10mm bolts now. We're going to want to grab the L bracket that came in the kit. Again, all my stuff's been powder coated the color of my rims. I like the look. You're one going, the rest of the hardware. Small bolt that's in the kit, one washer, and really the only nut that's in there happens to be a lock nut, so that's kind of cool. The vent filler cap, real quick thing on that. You may find that your hose isn't pointed the right way because you're going to want the flush side of the fuel filler vent pointed towards away from the truck. So this side will be what you bolt into. If you find that's the case, you can grab the can, hold it tight, and then slowly you can rotate this. And that way you can adjust the neck so there's no tension on the hose or tension on anything else. So let's go throw this thing in. Okay, first things first, we're gonna go to where the bracket's gonna live, which is right here. And we're going to want to bolt that in with one of the previously used 10mm bolts. When you're done, it should look like that. This sitting in here loose. Next up, we're gonna grab the cap and we're going to want to install that loosely right inside here, and let's do that. Okay, when you're done, it should look something along the lines of that. L bracket. I kick mine more towards the side to leave space here so there's no rubbing with the body and could cause eventually some rust. As you can see from a bunch of my videos, not a big fan of scratching my paint or getting rust. I like beating the hell out of the Jeep, but I don't like having serious damage. So let's move on to the next steps. I'm going to take these 3 clips off. We're going to put the provided clips back on. You're not going to reuse these, so just bend them right off if you want, just to keep the paint from getting scratched up. I'm then going to wipe all this down, and we're going to move into drilling out these holes here. There's specific ones we need to drill out, and yeah, we'll go over that as well. So on these, it's pretty straightforward. Let me get out of the way. This part goes on the inside of the Jeep. This part's what you're screwing into, the flush side. Now we're gonna lower the Jeep down. We're gonna get the drill. I've marked out all the holes that I'm gonna drill, double checked them, and this is kind of the sketchy part. We're gonna drill it into the body. This is kind of the point where you really wanna make sure that you're drilling into the right holes. All of them have been marked out from me. The instructions are gonna show you as well, and I'll drop somewhere here what the instructions show you as far as where to drill. I believe it shows you the passenger side, but common sense, just flip it around. But yeah, you're gonna need if I remember right, a 7/16 drill bit, and just drill straight into the body. At this point, once we're done that, I'm gonna wipe it all off, and then I'm gonna come in and put in my paint protection film and the PPF that I'm choosing. I'm going to put it towards this side of the body. And I was talking to Delaney over at Proform, awesome place if you're in Alberta. But Delaney was telling me don't stick it to the inner fender liners because this is the part that'll rust, the inner fender liners won't. So the adhesive will stick here, it'll make it better for everybody. It's pretty much the sketchiest part of the entire job. Drilling. Gonna wanna grab the drill bit, keep that thing straight. Little thing to note, if you push too hard, while you're drilling, you're going to hit your inner wheel well, and then you're going to want to touch that up with paint. If you do that, not the end of the world. Hopefully you're smart enough to let go of the trigger when you buried it through. Just take your time, touch it up with paint, and then move on. And as always, don't just put it up here and then start drilling, because this is it's bad. Always run your drill and then put it on the metal. Safety squints at this point, not the smartest thing. Glasses. Okay, paint protection film is installed. Next up, we're gonna take our little snap nuts. We're gonna install them on the inner fender liner from the inside of the fender liner. And as you can see, I've had a few already put in, but the way they work is they've got a little hook. Well, that happened. They got a little hook. You hook it in, you push in the side, and it literally hooks in place. This is an awesome design that they did, so that way you don't have to sit there and tape up the bolt to the back of your wrench and somehow find a way inside. I don't know. Seems to be pretty straightforward. So I'm going to knock out the rest of these. We're going to, I think we're at the point now where we're going to go ahead and go to the fender. We're going to cut up some of our factory fender and drill out some of the holes for the bolts. I'll show you guys what I'm talking about. And then after that, it's just install. All the prep work's done. So here we go. Okay, so we're gonna take this clip. We're gonna grab a small flathead screwdriver. This is the one I filed down. And then we're gonna come in, and I thought originally these clips came off from the bottom. They don't. What you do is pop the clip up, pull it back, and it literally just comes right out. It's on a T section. The actual insides of the clip, you can see on the top part is where the teeth are that go in. So I'm going to go ahead and take off the rest of these T-clips. Then you're also going to need a zip disc. I'm using this one. You can use whichever one you want. And we're going to want to come in here and take off this section here. Because we zipped off all the pieces that we need. I'll show you what it looks like here in a minute. Next, we're gonna go and take the same drill bit that we used to drill into the Jeep. We're gonna take that and drill out the holes where the clips were. So right here, where the clip was, we need to bore this out, this piece, all the way around. Just being careful that we don't mess up anything. We just want a nice even hole. And again, as you can see, we went down here and I zipped out all these pieces. The reason is so that we can access the bolt from inside and make it easier on ourselves. All right, everything's done. Holes are drilled out, and I've taken off the little guide pins that were on from the factory holes, because when you put it on, they just won't go in. There is one bolt that I chose to do a little something different, and it's this bolt right here, this position. The reason is when you put the mushroom head bolt on, you don't have enough room to be able to access it because of this piece right here, and I'm not going to get rid of this piece because this adds rigidity to the actual fender itself. So what I went with is a 3/4 by 3/8, and I believe it's a, what is it, 7, no, it's right here, 9/16 head. Woo, belly sticking out there. Anyway, 9/16 head. I found that this is a lot better to put on this end piece. It gives me a lot more access to tighten it up properly, and so I'm not sitting there just trying to do it by hand, and then when I try to take it off, it's going to take forever. So nice to buy 2 of these, and grade 8 bolts. They should last forever. The other ones that I bought were stainless steel, so shouldn't have any problems with rusting either. So anyway, let's get this put on and let's get done with this project. So we're going to start off with the mushroom head bolts. We're going to grab 10 of those, or 9 of those rather, and we're going to put them on. You're going to find you're going to have a couple of pins or clips that you didn't have to take off. So those will be there to hold the fender in while you're trying to maneuver this thing around and hold it up and guide it in. So I'll bring in, show you what I'm talking about. So we'll go in our little parts bin here. And then what I want to do is I want to grab this and set this one in first. And because there's paint protection film in there, it may be a little bit tricky to work through. But yeah, I'm going to set that one in, and then I'm going to work all the way around. I'm going to do this one last, and then this one last. Next we're going to grab our 3 sleeves spacers, 3 long screws. We're going to go in and install them here, here, and here into the actual clips that we installed earlier. I found that having a 90-degree needle nose pliers was really nice, because you could grab this the spacer and then tuck it in behind there and then hold it while you try to fish the actual screw through, and then you can kind of fish it in and find your spot and then drill it in. So to me, this was an amazing tool to use on this side of the project. Okay, well that's a wrap. We got the rears done. Just real quick, there is no going to be any fronts in this one. We're going to make a part 2 for the fronts. It's just far too long. I've tried to sink in everything that you could use, everything that you would need. We did finish up with the 2 13mm bolts, put them back in for the wiring harness, put my rock blocks, mud flaps, extension back in for the quick connect, and put the rivets in for here and here. And the reason is those rivets actually hold an actual piece of structure for the actual fender itself, so we don't want to mess with that. I thought about putting a rivet in each one of these to clean it up, but we're gonna see what we're gonna do with that for now. But yeah, absolutely, we're all done. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. These are the rear inner fender liners for Metalcloak, and put the link down below how you can get them. Hope you guys enjoyed, and like I said, part 2, we're gonna do the fronts next.